recording. And can I invite the feedback? Should we go through numerically? That's probably the easiest way to do it. Group 1, please. Can you feedback someone?
Okay. Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you, Linda. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. These are not in any particular order. We talked about taking a risk, laying yourself bare and letting yourself be vulnerable to take a risk. We come from different places with different sets of anxieties, and the anxieties might be similar based upon our experiences, but we can learn to do things that feel right and repeat those actions, be persistent if we find that those work, and try things new, of course. Come from a place of warmth and kindness and accepting where possible, but we weren't above getting a bit angry. But we were talking about the British attitude of warmth, kindness, and accepting. That's kind of a generalization, but that was what we came up with. And then there was also unlearning and learning, and then spreading what we learn. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Those are 3 concise points. Brilliant. Anyone from group 2, please?
Joy.
Thank
Hello.
You. Hi, Joy.
Hello. We had a very deep and inspiring discussion, which is very difficult to summarize. But we agreed that Azariah's analysis, that it may start with the head, but the heart has to follow, and then if it's not followed by action, as you said, put the body there, then the first 2 aren't helpful. That racism in British society is so ubiquitous that it's impossible for those who are subject to it to escape it. It's just there all around. And what can we do as individuals to overcome it? First of all, is to be aware, to know that it's there, which we were helped in our group to be aware, and then to empathize, to act as much as we can possibly empathize with the people who are subject to racism. Just try to create a society in which this can be overcome. The prevalent racism can be overcome. And I think our final point was that this particular group, this Faith in Black Lives Matter movement, is a space where this can be, we have started, and it really needs to go from strength to strength and carry on helping the current members and hopefully new members in the future to face the situation which which people are suffering in our country. I don't know if that was 3 points, but
brilliant. That's perfect. Thank you, Joy. And group 3?
I'll report back for group 3.
Thank you, Anne.
We spent some time talking about anger, how we mustn't let our own discomfort get in the way of hearing the anger or diffusing it, and how important it is in the work for justice. Secondly, we realized the importance of getting out of our head and into our heart, and putting our bodies where they need to be for action. And thirdly is the question that we need to ask ourselves whenever we use the word we. Who is this we that we're talking about? So that's our 3.
Thank you. 3 more powerful points. This is going quite well, I think. Group 4, please.
So, sorry, my video doesn't work on this laptop. It's an old one.
Chelsea, we can hear you loud and clear.
So the first point was in relation to empathy. It's absolutely right. We are taught to be more analytical and to explain people's behaviour, and we need to be more empathetic. So that was our first point. Second point was in relation to the analogy of the cake and the sugar sprinkles, as in the afterthought. Racism is pervasive in our society throughout all institutions. As a mixed parentage woman, it's doubly oppressive, and I have the double glass ceiling, and it's not that we should be an afterthought as a woman or someone who is non-white. It should be throughout the whole of society and all institutions that you can achieve what you want to achieve. And the third point was trying to do something, is for, in our group, everyone recognised and understood how white privilege works and impacts on other people, and it's calling it out. When you recognise it, call it out.
Thank you, Josie, and hopefully that's something we will be coming back to during these workshops as well. Group 5.
Hi, I'm Rita. I'm sharing on behalf of my group.
Thanks, Rita.
One of the points was the words microaggressions are used a lot, and somebody in our group said that there's another term that's being used which we found really more helpful, which was subtle acts of exclusion, and found that that might be a way that's more palatable for some people, although we don't want to take care of anyone in that sense. But if that works better, then we should work with what works better. So that was one of the points. The other one was about the empathy, the energy of the heart, putting yourself in the other person's shoes for one day at least. And there's something else that I'm working with at the moment, which is that you are a part of me that I do not yet know. And if we are going to be, if we are people of faith and we believe that we are all one, to come to each other from that place, curiosity and wonder, you know. The other point we wanted to make was the energy of the hands, which I love, this put your body, you know, put your body there. And we made a distinction between allyship. There's great being an ally, but it's a passive ally. Yes, you understand and you empathize, but then it takes some labor it takes some action, a labor of love, which means, you know, having a more active allyship and actually doing something, holding my hand through it. And, you know, and the anger came up as well as a thing. Where do you take that anger? And we saw that, well, if your anger is a sword, what is your sword? How can you help? Is it writing? Is it music? Is it something else? You know, what can you do to be part of the solution and not the problem? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Again, some brilliant points. And group 6.
I was going to speak.
Jackie, yes, thank you.
Yeah, if that's okay. We listened a lot. One of the group members was talking about their experience of racism in the workplace, and Warren kindly noted that it was about the misogyny in addition to racism and their experience of racism. So we then talked a bit about being there for people in love, and there was something about the person not feeling that there was the cake that was sprinkled on the top, but they'd been wrung out and rinsed. almost like somebody else had taken credit for all the hard work that they had done, and they themselves had taken time to recognize the racism and the misogyny that they were experiencing. So it's like a lot of what people have said really about raising awareness. And yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, is that about it, Warren?
Oh, good to me. Thank you, Jackie. And is anyone from Group 7?
Yes, me, Jill.
Thanks, Jill.
We felt there's a lot of cultural illiteracy around. People just don't understand each other. And better RE teaching could make a difference to this. And it should apply to us. They should sort of look at all religions and how we're different, and there's different colours. If there's black and brown people in all the religions, but we've so much to offer, all of us. And we also thought that we need to welcome everybody into our churches. We should be welcoming everybody into our churches, and sharing our gifts and sharing our needs as a two-way process, because we all have so much to learn from each other. And one of the members of the group made the point that her daughter goes to Hillsong in London, where everyone is accepted, and it's a great atmosphere, and everybody just loves going and meeting people. I think that's about it, really. But we need to talk to each other.
Great. Thank you, Jill. And last but not least, anyone from Group 8? I'm sure there was a Group 8.
There was a Group 8. I think that would be me. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you. So we were all able to give examples of when we had been in the minority group, in a larger group of different people, not necessarily groups of colour, but it might have been a woman in a group of men or something like that. And we discussed the feelings that we had on those, and they tended not to be positive. In fact, they weren't positive. And yeah, we discussed how important empathy was, and the need to actually listen deeply to other people. So we talked about organisations and how most organisations are quite closed with a well-defined power structure. And we also talked about the fact that it wasn't for people, or for any of the minority groups, including people of colour, to actually change the power structure of that organisation. It was up to the people who actually held the power. So it's no good keep going back to people and saying, what do you want us to change, and then not doing it. Somebody has to take the responsibility, who is actually part of the power structure, to make that change. And we also talked about that if you're going to involve people of colour or minority groups in making changes, then you have to do it in a space where they feel safe to do that. So I don't know if anyone wants to add anything to that from my group, but that's it from us.
Could I just share that Azariah shared a great definition of racism? I found it ever so helpful, which was that racism is prejudice plus power.
Thank you. Racism is prejudice plus power. A lot of very, very good points in there, which hopefully we can try to unpack and explore as we sort of go through the sort of rest of the workshops, and see what actions we can decide to do as individuals and together. So it's important. Azariah, as we do have a couple of minutes, is there anything you would like to say to respond to any of the things that have come out of those groups?
So I would say keep on journeying, keep on thinking. I can't remember who said, when we say we, who we're referring to, because I've been in a lot of settings with white folks who are on this journey, and just to flip the allyship script, black and brown people are your allies, because actually whiteness and white privilege doesn't serve you well, really. And so, so just to flip that round, you know. When you talk about the we, who are the we we're talking about? So been with, you know, white folks on a journey who will speak about, we need to do more listening. Well, actually, if there's a black or brown person, maybe we need to create a room for them to speak up. So actually, you know, you can't speak on behalf of everybody. Otherwise, you're just perpetuating the problem in a different way. It's just a bit more progressive than conservative, perhaps. So bear that in mind. Also, I would say that recognize that you may well need, I said this in the group, you may well need someone who's outside of your context. So for example, I went along to a Catholic grouping, and I was able to speak confidently to the white Catholic bishop that was there, because, you know, my stipend isn't dependent upon him. Do you know? Because I'm outside of the scenario. So so actually, it may be that you need folks who are in equivalent positions from outside of your organisation or setup to come in and give you some feedback, and be prepared to contribute to, you know, if it's their livelihood. You know, don't expect it for free, and don't lean on the nearest black or brown person that you know and expect them to you know, to be there to help, because they may be in survival mode. And so with that in mind, I'm going to read you a poem because someone asked me recently, you know, to think about anger I was talking about before, and they said, you know, how do you rage? How do you take this thing on? But actually in this poem, I'm just going to look at the fact of black and brown folks often we're tired, actually, you know, and you might be getting all revved up to go and run the, you know, run the race for justice, but some of us just need a bit of rehab, you know, just need to stop. And so you do the work for a bit, you know, we'll catch up. But let me read this poem, and then perhaps, if it's okay, Warren, maybe we can just show the clip and share the screen of a campaign I'm involved in.
Absolutely. Someone asked me how to rage. I don't know. I'm still in a place of survival, still trying to placate my overlords, tough to integrate the power and the priesthood, and I mark my arrival. The priesthood, as understood, is a straitjacket. I'm learning straight is overrated. All oppressed are hated. How to rage? Well, we must all stand on the same stage, at our marks to the same page, but my power is a threat. Clark Kent, keep your glasses on. Johnny Storm, forget to flame on. Wonder Woman has wandered off, AWOL with Natasha Romanoff. Black Widow is still grieving. Daredevil is leaving things to Kingpin. To rule the underworld uncontested. My acquiescence is requested. My silence is expected. When I try to speak, a force in my brain slams on the brakes. I wind up weak, fall prey to the predators in this game. When I try to escape, it activates an alarm. My mask descends. I activate my charm. Hello. As I box my power, I box myself. Uppercut jab like Fight Club. My adversary, an evil genie of a lab I did not rub. I'm fighting with the man in the mirror. A victim of gaslighting, anti-black sentiments I end up reciting. The plantation owners are long gone, but I'm still in the field. Hyper alert, in traumatized hiding, unwilling to yield. I feel the ridges on my side. The scars, the map of my past. The stars, the map of what's to come. How to rage, you ask? I ask how to run. When the hounds have been unleashed, how do I hold together both the power and the priest?
Wow. That's powerful.
Thank
Wow.
you, Azariah.
Thank you.
Very powerful, very strong. Goes well when we use poetry or have poetry in these sessions. In a couple of the seminars in the second session, second series, and in the conference, and tonight. So thank you for that. Do you have the thing ready to share, or do you want me to share it?
Well, if you're able to share, that'd be great. Thank you. I'm trying to make Ghost Ship an audiobook, and so I'm involved in a campaign. My publishers are giving some toward it, but I'm looking for a little bit more. So if you're able to have a little look at this, it's a silly video, deliberately to make us laugh. And I think, you know, we can approach serious things with a light heart, and I think laughter's good fuel as well. So here we go. Hopefully.
It's only a minute and a half, so we should have time to read the pledge at the end as well. So
thank you.
Should go like this. Can you hear it?
Wow! I just had the most incredible virtual reality VR experience of Ghost Ship, Institutional Racism and the Church of England, created by ADA France-Williams back in 2020. Now back then, it was a humble paperback book. So let's rock the clock a bit. Whoa, that's a bit too far. So how did we get from paperback book to virtual reality? Well, before we got to VR, in 2021, we went to AR, not augmented reality, audio reality. So many of you invested and got involved in creating an audio experience for sound design, the author reading the book itself that meant so much to so many of you. So I want to say thank you for all that you did, whether it was the humble priest of prayer, or the local athlete, or the greengrocer taking the dog for a walk. All of you helped to make this audio reality a reality.
Join the mutiny.uk, is it? So
yeah, that's right.
Brilliant. Thank you very much there, Azariah, for what you told us at the start and how that inspired us for the breakout groups and for pulling it together at the end as well. I do believe this is a very powerful movement, I suppose, on one level. Certainly we are together. I certainly, and I think most of us are feeling that there is a commitment and an energy and a determination to make a change and make a difference and to see things move positively forward, to try and end racism and do our bit towards that. So thank you all.
It's great. I just want to say it's been wonderful being with you. It's been really encouraging and reinforcing. So thank you.
So thank you. You're very welcome to join us for the rest of the sessions. Next week we have Alison Malach, and she is looking with us at she's there. I'm not sure if you're still listening, Alison, or want to say anything. We're looking at so racism, I think, in the workforce, and she's got some homework for us to do. So I'm going to send out something tomorrow that she sent, and if she's inviting questions to make it more interactive. Do you want to say anything, Alison?
Oh, sorry, not really. Just to say that I'm talking from lived experience, and I want people to understand what the journey is in the workforce. But I also want to talk about childhood to adulthood, because quite often people just assume that, you know, it starts in adulthood, and actually it starts in childhood, and what we can do to prepare young people for that workplace.
Brilliant. Thank you, Alison. We look forward to seeing you next week as well. Hopefully see everyone next week, and we will end by reading the pledge, which I probably need to find and screen share, don't I?
I've got it.
You want to screen share it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Can everybody see it?
Yeah.
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 Okay. Let's read it all together. Black Lives Matter.
Every day.
Racism has no place in the world. In our country, in our cities, in our community,
or in
our home. We will use our voice and our platform to challenge racism at every opportunity. To our colleagues, families and friends from the Black community,
we
stand in solidarity with you all.
We are your classmates, and we shall use our voices to challenge racism at every opportunity.
We will
look within our communities
and identify where we can do better and continue to challenge those who know better.
Black Lives
Matter. November 2020.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to unshare the screen, Malika? Thanks. So, thank you all, and we will convene again at 6 o'clock next Monday evening. Introducing us with Alison, as we said, and the next couple of weeks after that, we're hoping to look at the courageous conversations we were talking about, and also other experiences of racism, either in the workplace or within communities. So I think Janet and Diane will be with us one week, and Elizabeth Cameron, who couldn't be with us tonight, one of the other weeks. And we'll then see how we can pull this series of workshops together. But thank you all.
Thank you.
Very powerful again. Let's continue the journey and let's make a difference.